Hello, everybody. It's Wednesday, 9 p.m. here in Ireland, 9 p.m. in London, 10 p.m. in France, and 4 p.m. in DC. So it's good to have you all here with us. I do have a special guest, Dr. Vanessa Anseloni, with us today. And she was very kind in accept our invitation because today's topic is Jesus, the greatest therapist we ever had. So let's listen what Vanessa has to tell us about it, and we will uh, uh, develop some conversation, some thoughts after her explanation. Uh, no sound. I can see Guilherme say no sound. It's fine for me here.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, I hear. I can listen here. Perhaps it's in your PC, Guilherme. Well, okay, okay. So, Fayute, my Irish friends. Hope you have a nice day. All working out. Great, 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 Guilherme. Good. I hope you are all good. Let's go to our introduction. And today we're going to start with our guests.
Okay. All right. Can you hear me well?
Yes, yes. Just to say good night, everybody. Introduce yourself, and then we go around
All right. So, hello, friends. I'm Vanessa Anseloni. I'm here near Washington, D.C., in the United States of America. It's always great to be here with you at Cardiac Radio, but especially now in this beautiful program that has been developed throughout this year, Spiritual Light, that we can tell has been bringing a lot of light to so many people. Thank you.
Okay, let's go to London now. Miss Gibbons.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. As always, it's really wonderful to be here, and especially today that we have a very good friend, a loving friend coming all the way from waves, coming all the way from the other side of the ocean, and joining us, which is wonderful. And the theme, talking about Jesus, especially now, this time of the year, that's a very special Christmas. So I wish everyone a very peaceful time during our meeting and a very peaceful Christmas. May God bless us all.
Miss Rossi.
Good evening, dear friends. Once again, in this wonderful circle, this room that we are together, and today is a special night. Before Christmas Day, we have this topic, a wonderful topic to talk about. And Vanessa Anseloni, as a neurotherapist, a psychologist, so many titles that is in connection with Jesus, will bring to us so many good information, and we will feed our souls and put in practice, because we can meditate in everything that we discuss in this humble meeting. That the most important is we are in the same room. There is no boundaries, no walls. We are together. God bless us and welcome everyone, especially the new friends that we are coming tonight. Thank you so much.
Bonsoir, Mr. Kempf. How are you?
Bonsoir, Stevan. Je vais très bien. J'espère de même pour toi. Bonsoir, bonjour à tous. Très heureux d'être parmi vous de nouveau ce soir, de pouvoir être réunis malgré les difficultés du moment, grâce à toute cette technologie qui est à notre disposition, pour pouvoir parler un peu de Jésus. Ben oui, parce que Jésus, beaucoup de gens en sont encore aux mauvaises conceptions qui ont été enseignées pendant des siècles par les églises traditionnelles. Et donc aujourd'hui, vous allez recevoir quelques lumières sur qui Jésus était vraiment et aussi la beauté, la grandeur de sa psychologie qui en ont fait ce leader naturel dont on parle encore 2000 ans plus tard. Hello everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. Very happy to be here again with you. Just before Christmas, we can gather in spite of the difficulties of the moment with all these problems we are all facing. We need all to face together, and thanks God we have this technology available that enables us to remain connected and to be able to study and to learn together. So very happy now just before Christmas to talk a little bit about Jesus, whose conception given by the traditional religions was so misleading and not so clear, but today hopefully you will get information showing you who he was really, and also the outstanding and extremely actual psychology he used, who made him this natural leader from which we talk. We are still talking about him 2000 years ago and probably much more. So very happy to be here with you today.
Thank you, and good night to all friends. I can see here the comments. Good night, Guilherme Dias, Beatriz Guiles, Nancy Valente, Faye, my dear friend Faye, Munir, friends from all over the world. Thank you for sharing this moment with us. And as usual, I will play a short video and then we can kick off. Okay? Let me put my screen here. And let's.
Jesus' role was not simply that of a moralistic lawgiver with no other authority than his own word. He came to fulfill the prophecies that had announced his coming. His authority derived from the exceptional nature of his spirit and his divine mission. He came to teach humans that true life is to be found not on the earth, but in the kingdom of heaven, to teach them the way that leads there, the means of reconciling themselves to God, and to forewarn them regarding the progress of future things for the fulfillment of human destiny. Jesus did not come to destroy the law. He came to fulfill it, that is, to develop it, to give it its true meaning and to adapt it to the degree of humankind's advancement. That is why that in this law may be found the principle of duty to God and to one's neighbor.
So wonderful. Another wonderful video from our friends from Spiritist Academy. Thank you for these amazing videos. Okay, so let me stop talking because we have better person here to talk to us today. And I'd like to, the idea today is we propose, we want to ask a question to Dr. Vanessa. She will answer, and then you guys feel free to make any questions. We open for Q&A, and we will make questions as well. But the question today is very simple and very simple to make the question. The answer is another story, you know? The answer is different. But the question is why we shall consider or we shall see Jesus as the greatest philosopher, psychologist ever had. It's simple. Yeah?
The answer is easy. The question is easy. The
Exactly.
answer,
You know?
thank God we're in a group here so we can elaborate more emphatically and deeply. I would say, first, because he's done more to humanity than psychology itself. And that's the reality of life.
Well, we
He's
try.
done
We
more.
try.
But I can't say that out loud because, the psychological scientists will really be upset. We can't do this. But in reality, we need to go back to the definition when we talk about a psychologist. A psychologist, if we go to the dictionary, it will tell us that a psychologist is somebody who is specialized in the understanding of the human mind, the behavior, and especially the treatment of mental disorders, emotional disorders, behavioral disorders. And Jesus knew it all. So, and the interesting aspect of it all is that Jesus himself is someone who unveiled this truth from within, the inner truth. And in the upcoming issue of the Spiritus magazine, which you can find either in the app Spiritus magazine, or you can go to the website spiritusmagazine.com or .org. The upcoming issue on January 1st, there's an article that came through the Kardec Spiritus Center, and it was published in one of his magazines in 1869. And it talks about unveiling this truth. So interesting, because nobody creates anything or invents anything. The article says it's a communication by a spirit named Havali. It talks about the fact that he says that the one who invents is the one that pulled up one of the sides of this veil that was hiding the truth. And a psychologist is the one that comes and helps in that regard, unveiling the mysteries of our emotional difficulties, bringing and trying to bring the balance in terms of spiritual, emotional, and the physical. So he's a therapist per se, and certainly a therapist of the mind. So a psychologist, so much so that he could see and effectively address the issues. For example, if we go back to when he was by the well, and at that moment, this woman, the Samaritan woman, is there, and he approaches her by asking a question from her day-to-day life. Can you please serve me a cup of water? Kind of like what we're going to do, right? And then she's surprised, like, how come you're talking to me? And it's interesting. Every time I talk about this, people doubt that this happens to date. I used to live in Baltimore, Maryland. It's a fantastic city, but it's brutally marked and stained by slavery. So 95 to 96% of the city are African Americans. When anybody else who comes from another race goes there, you see the contrast. And I say this because I lived there for so many years. And there were times in which people asked me, how come you're hanging out with people who are from a different race? And I said, because we're just the same. We're human beings. And they turned to me like, we're not. No, we are. We are. We're humans. It doesn't matter if I'm white and you're black. We are the same. And that happened to Jesus. The Samaritan woman was so conflicted and so challenged by so many things in her life. And then he drops very effectively those barriers and goes straight to her heart. And then he says, if you just knew that the living water that I'm going to give you is going to make you be satiated for life. And then she recognizes that this is someone very special in front of her. She surrenders. One of the most difficult things to be established in a therapist-patient relationship is this trust, the full trust. And not only for psychotherapists, but for physicians too. You can go to a physician, and then the physician says you have to do this, that, and the other, and you leave and you don't believe the physician. So for Jesus, he was so efficient that with a phrase or two, just one step in his approach, he was able to go straight to the matter that was going to be resolved. And then in the dialogue with the Samaritan woman, we recognize how he approaches to bring her new hope, consolation, greater balance to her emotions. He validates her feelings. Because when you go to a therapist, the good one's never going to say you are right or wrong, because there's no right or wrong. But he's going to say, I understand you. And really does. The therapist understands us. And Jesus understood her. He even described her scenario, saying, I know that you were having a hard time with your families, the people in your village, because of the many partners you had, da 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 da. And she's like, oh my Lord, somebody gets it. And then once that trust bond is made, he can treat her. And then he talks about the things she doesn't understand, ridding herself of emotional and even intellectual limitations when she talks about the water in that well and what they get from it and somewhere else. It clarifies so many things. And this is what a therapist who knows what he does, the greatest therapist. She barely speaks. He knows, but he goes straight to the point. As a therapist myself, I see some therapists who are very casual, they take everything very lightly. Even doctors I've seen. They see patients with panic attacks, stress, anxiety, and at the end they say, yeah, relax, take some time for yourself, go take care of yourself. And that is what Jesus never said to anybody. He never said, yeah, take time for yourself. Go and do more shopping. Go and think more of yourself. No, his therapy is the therapy of the truth. The truth is loving. Some people think the truth hurts, but the real truth is that real truth is loving. So he heals with the truth. Truth that, of course, that person at that level can handle, and always promoting the best in everyone. So you can tell, for example, when we go to the story of Zacchaeus and his approach, so different from any therapist, because he really comes so close and he allows himself to be with you all the way to your house without being invasive, and at the same time being so one with you that you feel like his family. So when he tells Zacchaeus, climb down from the tree and, I need your hospitality in your house, he doesn't go and waits for Zacchaeus to prepare everything. No, he goes together. And he's so close to somebody, quote unquote, he's never met in the eyes of everybody, that he goes to his house already listening to the very person that wants to be helped. And says Humberto de Campos in the book Good News, interesting enough for us to note, listening very patiently to the minute details that Zacchaeus gives about what he wants to talk about. And he gives his arm to Zacchaeus. They walk together. to the astonishment of everybody, mainly the disciples, who are like, what's happening here? Well, that's another story, but for us, the therapeutic process, he's very humble. He allows you to be raised from your own pains and sorrows. So Zacchaeus is there, he's short, he's climbing to be seen, and Jesus says, climb down, I need your hospitality. Means no matter how small you think you are, how shameful you think you've been feeling, I need you. And he says it out loud in front of everybody. So good therapist always boosts the best in us. Always. Doesn't teach us to be mediocre, because that's what I see many therapists doing. They're like, yeah, go do your nails, go to a spa, have some. No, that's mediocre. That's not healing. Make the patient really feel they're good. And people ask, how? Well, if you invite this one to serve, they will see their greatness. Like Jesus said, I need you. I know you need me, but I need your hospitality. How else would Jesus treat that man and everybody in his family and whomever was watching up close, and all of us, but to say, don't feel that small. Come on, you can help me. I need your help too. In between the lines, finding the greatness of every person. That's what he did. So much so that Zacchaeus felt like a child, excited, talking about himself and going all the way in the house, sitting down next to Jesus and talking, and Jesus was listening. So the greatest therapist, listen, but also know how to give a feedback so precise and so effectively that it's memorable to date. So transformative that Zacchaeus never went back to his behaviors. On the contrary, he evolved so much that today, who is he? We know. Dr. Bezerra de Menezes. Right? He was so healed by the greatest therapist that he, in his turn, became a therapist. Because that's what Dr. Bezerra de Menezes is. He's a doctor. He's a therapist. He really brings healing. He was healed in his turn. So the therapist so effective that he raises that person to never fall again. It's unbelievable. We could give 10,000 cases here, but I want to emphasize, based on the message that I have in front of me, that the angle that we're studying here about Jesus, there are many angles to be studied, but Dr. Dias da Cruz, a spiritist and physician who lived in Brazil, he said in a message named The Therapeutics of Prayer about the importance of this rapport, the psychological rapport. He says, the psychology of speaking about yourself is very regenerative medication. The confession of the patient is worth the expulsion of the toxins of the mental life, and the advice of the right specialist acts as a donation of new thought forms to help the sick brain. And that's what Jesus did. We came feeling shame, like Zacchaeus, shame. And it's so hard to feel shameful, right? Not only we feel weak and vulnerable, but we feel like we don't want to go on. And he went straight there, reorganized the closet of his mind. Just like as if you go to Netflix and you watch Mary Kondo, the Japanese designer who knows how to organize things at home so well and lovingly, or the Home Edit, the two American friends who do the same, keeping everything organized. It's like the good psychologist comes and organizes your mind, like helps, put everything in the right place. And Jesus was masterful in that regard. Not only he created the trust, the bond of trust, not only he prescribed correctly, but he did it effectively, to the point that the lives of those people and ours have been changing as we speak. So basically, nowadays, why is this important to us? Because nothing that we study in Spiritism is beautiful just because, but it's very, very applicable. Because nowadays, as Dr. Diaz da Cruz says in that message in the book Psychophonic Instructions, which was studied at Cardiac Radio a year ago, it says that millions of people daily fall in emotional complications, he says, and then connecting with inferior forces that are there waiting for a mishap or our fall. And if we don't have help, what's going to happen? The obsession process begins through unbalanced thoughts, through prayer, through the connection with minds more evolved than us. We can shift it, reorganize ourselves, regain balance, regain lucidity, and keep on going in a very autonomous way. I like to emphasize that because we usually outsource our need for balance. Yes, we need to ask for people's help, but we need to do our share. That's the secret. All the people who came across the greatest therapist, Jesus Christ, they understood that they had to do their share. They had to walk like Mary Magdalene. Yes, you will have a hard time now fixing your life, but don't give up. Keep on going. And she merited the greatest gift of it all. She was the first one to see Jesus after he discarnated. Not even his mom was able to see him before. He chose her to show to you and to me that what matters to us is the effort we make in life, the effort to adjust ourselves, no matter the pains and the sorrows, the shame and the guilt, the remorse we may feel. We turn it all around, and then he repeats the dose with Paul of Tarsus when he sees Saul of Tarsus in an intense inner dialogue with him, almost like in an evocation. You can read it quite clearly in chapter 10 of the book, Paul and Stevan. And right there, Emmanuel, through the hands of Chico Xavier, showed to us it's almost like a psychotherapeutic session between Saul of Tarsus and Jesus, even after he passed. He goes on paying attention to each one of us. And if we want to talk to him, he will come and talk to us, because some people think and always thought that Jesus appeared to him almost like in an invader kind of way. No, Jesus doesn't invade anybody's privacy. When Emmanuel shows that the thinking process while Paul was riding to Damascus, on the road to Damascus, he's kind of evoking Jesus unconsciously. in this conversation. How come? How come I planned this, I learned this, and that happened? It's always the carpenter. And he's asking, and then Jesus comes and says, yes, so why are you persecuting me? Because I've come to help. And he says, I can help you, but you have to take it easy. Don't kick the goads. Just go, and I will. So the trust, again, establishing the trust. You see, whether he was incarnated or discarnated, the first step is the trust bond. And from there on, if we trust, we step into the next moment of the therapy, which is the validation. He knows our sufferings. And then what happens next? He gives the prescription, but it is on us to follow through, to comply. Those who did are making history. So that's an invitation for all of us as we're approaching Christmas to ask ourselves, if you have his business card, we all do. You all know. We all know. And it's free. You just schedule an appointment and you establish your relationship. And I like to tease people about this personal relationship with Jesus, because some people believe that it's so far, who am I to deserve a personal relationship with Jesus? And I said, maybe you have to read it all over again, because he reaffirmed that his relationship is very personal. And he wants it to be personal. And if we keep pushing it away and don't cut the middleman, we're not going to get there. So the first step for this therapeutic process to work with us as well is to accept the trust bond with him. But that's one-on-one. I'm going to stop here because I know we have more comments and other topics to address in that regard, right, Stevan?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's good to listen your comments. So sharp, so precise. Thank you very much. And I would like to start this Q&A here. We already have a question from Faye. And she asks, would you say that feeling shame is a learned behavior?
I don't think so, because if you go, Faye, thank you for this question. If you go to animal studies, like at Emory University, for example, Franz de Waal and others who studied primates, they can see behavioral aspects that would be translated into shame. So it is already in us. It's not learned. I would say shame is an end result. Of course, shame in the conscious aspect is only human, but there are some features that you can see in animal behavior. And even if you have dogs, you can tell when they do something wrong, you talk to them. They really, right, Elsa? We have dogs and we say, who did this? They know they did it. So for us, I think it's one more proof that there is this law of God, the divine laws inside of our conscience somewhat, because there is this inner inbuilt mechanism that tells us we're off. But I would say we can learn how not to fall trap into shame. And yesterday, believe it or not, I was watching finally so many years people talking to me about Brené Brown, the Texas psychologist, therapist who became so famous in the West, and she talks about shame, she talks about vulnerability, and I agree with her. We can learn how to get out of shame, and we can learn how to not feel entrapped in shame, because shame can be very limiting and paralyzing. I see, for example, in the Spiritist movement, for example, so many people who don't go on with their tasks, their commitment, because they made a mistake and they feel like, who am I? I mean, that's, as Mother Teresa says, it's between God and you, it's not the world. You keep going and you humble yourself before your mistakes, stand up tall and begin anew. So we see that Jesus can be very helpful in that regard. And I don't see more effective therapy than his to make us learn how not to be stuck in shame.
Thank you. Thank you, my dear. So, while please to all those people who are listening us, if you want to make a question, please write your question in the comment box and we can
Can I
we
make
can
a
ask
comment?
here.
Quickly comment.
Yes, yeah, we're gonna go. Yeah, sure.
While it's warming my mind, I was thinking while Vanessa was speaking regarding the woman in the Jacob will, I was thinking about all the disciples of Jesus. All of them, they were problematic people. Jesus chose them between so many people there to be the 12 apostles close to him. One was later on, he knew that he was deny him, or the other will commit suicide, the other will sell him for coins, etc. And Mary Magdalena with her life. So he never judged. So these teachings is so powerful for us as a therapy for our daily lives. Never teach people, never judge people, accept everyone as a friend, talk, a dialogue. So we can give ourselves serving others as he showed us the way that he was talking with everyone in a good way that you said, he was serving people. He put himself as a humble, and even with the Zacchaeus, come Zacchaeus, I go to your house. Zacchaeus, I inverted the commas, as a sinner. Or people hated him because he was a tax collector. So everyone, nowadays, we can put ourselves nowadays between us and Jesus. If I am a sinner, if I have a time in prison, that I have friends that was in prison for some reason in their lives, but we never judge. We are friends. We know that the problem is in the past. Is between the person, between ourselves, yourself, and Jesus. If we overcome our own difficulties and talk to Jesus directly, as Vanessa pointed very well, he is the greatest therapist, and the voice in our conscience will come and help us. So if our life, we are between people that we never know who they are, and if you judge, you can be probably alone, because everyone has problem. Everyone has some inverted commas sins. I don't. Perhaps it's something that we should think more about, especially in this time, that Jesus is on our mind so close now. Christmas time, that should be every day, no, Vanessa?
Yeah, yeah. Mr. Kemp, do you have any comment?
Yes, thanks a lot, Vanessa, for your wonderful talk. Really, the question of trust is fundamental, and Jesus was really master in building trust to everyone he met. And what I maybe would just add is his psychology was extremely clear and also extremely simple, explicit, and without ambiguities. He was talking in form of parables for the complex things that the people were not yet ready to understand. But for the essential things, love God more than everything and love your neighbor as yourself, he was really very simple and clear. So his today we can see in psychology sometimes it gets complex because blah 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 and so on. I don't tell it's useless. At the opposite, I think it's valuable. But in contrast of this, psychology of Jesus was very simple. And I recently, a couple of years ago, when I was in Mansão do Caminho, I acquired the box of the series Jornada de Angelis, psychology series. And because I'm an engineer, so I'm not so good in psychology. But the books, the one I most liked is the first one. It's exactly about the psychology of Jesus. And this one, yes, I can understand easily. The other one then is more tough for me, really. It's more complex. So Jesus was also brilliant due to this very clear, explicit, and without ambiguity talks he had on these basic things, these rules of conduct, these things which are really elementary for everyone. He was curing a lot of people and saying them early after, as you told, do your part. Please go and don't do the same mistake again, because otherwise it could happen with you something even worse. So again, very, very simple psychology. And the other brilliant thing of Jesus was teaching by example. He was washing the feet of his apostles, saying, the one who wants to be the greater amongst you should be your server. And this new sense of leadership is luckily being recognized more and more nowadays, that the best leader is not the one with the highest IQ, it's the one which is associating IQ with also emotional control of the emotions and so on. And being together with the teams, as you told, together with Zacchaeus, together with these 12 apostles, simple people, and not somewhere in an office distributing just punishment and rewards. He was together living with the team in order to reach the objective, which is the regeneration of humanity.
Great. Wonderful. Ms. Gibbons, I can see you have a question.
Actually, I don't have a question.
Oh my
but
gosh.
I
Let's
do.
put some trust here.
But I do have something to comment on what Vanessa said, which I agree absolutely. And I think that's one of the things that sometimes we miss, is the question of having a personal relationship with Jesus, because we feel he's so far away from us. And when he said, when one or more join in prayer in my name, I'll be there. And he says, I'll be with you to the end of time. So, I always think there's people talk about, especially in Christian circles, that Jesus is coming back, is the second coming. And to me, he never left. He's with us. I think every time we reach out for someone in difficulty, every time you forgive someone, every time you ask forgiveness to someone, every time you smile to a stranger in the street, Jesus is there. He's in your heart. I think last week I did say that there is one of these Christmas carols, this beautiful music that we have here in England. And this is such a beautiful one in the little town of Bethlehem. But in one of the parts it says, for those who open their hearts, the little Jesus, the little Christ will come in. And I think Jesus lives with us in our heart. And having this relationship, it means that we do wrong things, and I don't think he wants us perfect. But I think at one point that Vanessa said, he values the effort that we make to be better. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things about Jesus, because I don't know, I personally feel that he's a friend. He's a friend of mine. I don't see him as like, this. I know he's the God's emissary. I know God sent him to bring the words to us, but I feel him very close to me. And sometimes, oh, I'm sorry, Jesus, I did something wrong again. Please forgive me again. I don't deserve it, but I'm asking it. I don't know. I personally feel him very close to me, and I feel him as a friend. Sometimes when I'm very sad and upset or something, is not going. And I said, I know you with me. I know I'll be all right. I don't know why, but I feel this. And so I feel him close to me, and I try to live a life that, honors his presence in my life, I think. And this is very important for us to have, I feel, not see him as something. And I think, some of the points that Vanessa made when he was talking to the Samaritan woman, or with Zacchaeus, or with the person, the lepers, that one comes back and say, thank you, I follow. He said, no, go home, because he knew that person had already been transformed. And I think he valued people. And one of the things we need to learn to do in our lives is to value people. They are who they are. They make mistakes like we do, and try not to see what is wrong, but to see what is good in it. And I think that's, what Jesus taught, especially in the Sermon on the Mount. I was watching this program that was made about the real Jesus of Nazareth. It was a research program that they did, I think, with the Smithsonian. And the person actually is the actor who played Jesus in the Zeffirelli film that they made for television in the 70s. And someone said he was like incorporating Jesus, because there are some scenes you watch and you start to cry, even without realizing it. And anyway, he was saying that when he was filming that passage of the Sermon on the Mount, because he said he was never a very religious person. And then suddenly when he started talking and all those people there, and he started feeling the meaning of the words, and he became extremely emotional. And, the way he was saying it. And then he said, absolutely everyone was crying. The crew, the people who were filming, everybody was in tears. And I seen some of the actors who were in that film as well, saying they were doing things, and suddenly everyone was in tears. And I think the words are so, I think the words that Jesus left is so powerful, that when we see that, especially when someone seems to be giving their heart into them, without realizing it, we start to cry with the emotion, with the beauty, because we feel that connection with Jesus that he left with us. So I think, for me, he is there. And when I read the gospel and Boa Nova, like, it's such a wonderful stories in Boa Nova. I think everybody should read it again and again, because they are a fantastic book. And to have, feel that he is with us. He's in our heart. If we open our heart, he will enter in. And well, maybe I talk too much, but I think this personal relationship with Jesus is the most important.
Thank you, my
Thank
dear.
you.
Thank you. And we have another question here, Vanessa, from our friend Mohammed. And he says, so we must be in a relationship with Jesus and talk to him about our psychological problems in a prayer, and he helps us. Is my understanding correct?
No, Muhammad, you're right. And that's a beautiful question. Because, for example, as a therapist, I see people who come and they come and they start talking about the weather, what they were shopping. And then I ask, okay, how have you been feeling? Because if we don't go straight to what we want to heal, what's the point? It's like going to a coffee shop and buying and seeking something for your car. You're not going to find it there. So it's a must for the relationship to be effective, therapeutically speaking. We need to be open and to engage on our side of the trusting bond as well, because Jesus has already done his share. And it's on us to do ours. How do we do it? Through prayer. Yes. But what do we mean by prayer? Because people think that praying is about closing their eyes. There are 10,000 types of prayers, right? But overall, closing our eyes and talking and talking and talking. There is a two-way road. It's communication. Kardec talks about it in the Gospel According to Spiritism. It's to put elements in common, like to bring it to the same ground and then working on it. I can't call an architect to come to my house and say, remodel my home and leave. He's going to ask me, or she's going to ask me, what do you want me to do? I don't know. You figure it out. No, but the house is yours. You need to tell. I can't do anything unless you tell me what is wrong with it. What do you want to change? And that's where only humans can step in, because we need awareness. We need consciousness. We need discernment. We need self-evaluation. Only humans can do this. We can no longer be instinctive and stay in the field of sensations without raising ourselves to another level. So prayer then is no longer a petition, but a conversation where I share and I allow the receiving of the elements that will renew it all and give the advice and the recommendations. But I must, in all cases, be willing to adjust, to regenerate, to begin anew, to renew myself. That's the condition. So there are conditions that are mostly on our side, if not all, because Jesus is always available. And all the people around the world from different faiths, from different walks of life, all who talk about their encounter with Jesus since his time, the must condition is, I am open to shift, to renewal.
Yeah.
So,
And I do have a question. And with this new lifestyle we are facing right now, a lot of people went through problems. Some are still okay. Uh, but how to start to build that trust with God?
with God.
Yeah, with Jesus.
Okay.
Yeah, how to
At the
start?
end, yeah. So it's interesting you're asking this, because this week at our mediumistic meeting at the Spiritist Society of Virginia, a spirit mentor came and said, we need to turn off our cell phones, our social media. We need to make silence, inner silence included, to really enter this realm of this communion with the higher mind, especially Jesus. So some people, they will claim, but Vanessa, can we make a direct connection? Friends, who am I to say yes or no, right? Nobody can say, no, you can't talk to Jesus, because who are you? Who are you? And I say, but historically, he talked to everybody. Why is he not going to talk to me? So if people claim they've seen and they talk, well, it's their experience. I cannot say they haven't. But what I can say is that I felt it. So it's up to us to step into this silence. We need to quiet down. And we don't usually do this, as you said, Stevan. We don't, because we're always connected. And it's okay to watch few things here and there, but I can't spend my whole day before a computer screen, a phone, a TV, a tablet, and think that I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Because it's not only about even people, I have to have my time by myself. And Jesus was a master in that regard. He showed to us, he modeled those quiet times. I need throughout my day. Think of the Dalai Lama. I was shocked when I heard that he spends 9 hours a day meditating. So then I ask myself, does he sleep at all? Because if he meditates for 9 hours, does he sleep? Because 9 plus. So if you do the math, you're like, what else does he do? But what does he mean? Well, that's another story because he's a very wise man, certainly Christ sent. But then we ask, Jesus was like this, wasn't he? He was. Not that he was going to be by his side, but in the literature, if you go through the book, Jesus in the Home by Neil Lucius, through Chico Xavier, if you go to the book Good News, which, by the way, it's not published yet, but not in the book form, but if you go to the Spiritist magazine, issue 11, 10, 11, and onwards to date, we have the chapters published. In every single one, we published a chapter. So if you read those articles in the magazine, at the end of the day, you're reading the book somewhat, not in order, but everything is there. And we're saying this because if you go to the book Good News, and then another book that is translated but not published yet, No Roteiro de Jesus, we're going to find the reports and many others, even through Divaldo Franco's books, Amélia Rodrigues' books. We're going to find the descriptions of Jesus being with people and without them, meditating, aside, reflecting, and the spirits describe. He was not always like we do. It's so funny because during this holiday season, well, I don't know with the pandemic, but many people visit each other and they travel to see family and friends. And what do we usually do when we go to family and friends? We go to their house and we stay there the whole day in the living room with them all the time. Jesus wasn't like this. He was more like, I would say, when you guys remember Divaldo Franco visiting your home, right? How would he do? He would come, spend a little bit with us, retreat, come back at a mealtime, talk a little more, retreat to his bedroom. Then once I asked him, why do you do that? And he said, I don't want to bother my hosts. Because Vanessa, every time your guest is in your living room, in your kitchen, you have to be there. You have to do something. Now, this is Divaldo Franco. Imagine Jesus. And that's what he did. He was in Peter's home, but he wasn't there to be served, number one. Second, he knew how to be on and off for himself and for people. So establishing that quiet time, that stillness also of the mind, so we can establish this relationship deeply and consciously. Does it make sense, Stevan?
Yes, a lot. Thank you. And to finalize here, we do have a comment from Eleonora Hagini. Jesus was sent to teach us the right way to break the cycle of incarnations. Believing in him only is not enough. We need constant work and vigilant daily prayer to regenerate into a higher spiritual. Thank you for the comment, Leonora. Thank you very much. And see, it's amazing how the time passed by here. It's already 10 o'clock. So, but anyway, thanks to Elsa found the best gift for Christmas, and I want to show you guys what is the best gift for Christmas. This is save us monies in shopping around. Let's see what's the best gift for Christmas. Okay. I want to say thank you for everyone for being here with us today. It's an amazing to have you all here. Thank you, Vanessa, for being here with us. And thank you, Charles. Thank you, Elsa. Thank you, Silvia. It's it's been this year sharing these moments with you guys. It's amazing. Also, Kardec Radio for the trust on us.
And we
And
have Kardec Radio 2050. Wonderful programs.
yeah, I'm gonna show the slide here. I'm gonna show the program. While I'm talking, I'm loading. Yeah. So, and I want to say thank you. It's how this is making me better person. So, as I said in our live yesterday, uh, hey Virginia, good to have you here, my dear.
Hi.
Hi.
We we was to say people think like we are helping them, but it's the other way around. You know. Okay, let me show here the announcements. So our next topic for Wednesday, our last program of the year is the law of love is the solution for everything. That's a good way to end up the year and starting a new a new year. Okay, so Tuesday, I think not this Tuesday, but the following Tuesday, we will have our show with Time to Talk with Guilherme Dias Rafael Caldas, Conversations on Mediumship. So it happens every other week, every other Tuesday. Sorry. And here's the Kardec Radio schedule for the end of the year. On the 25th, we will have Christmas Day special. So we start 6 p.m. Eastern time. So here in Ireland and UK, it's about
9. 9.
9 o'clock, 9 o'clock p.m. Uh, so we have a series of friends talking about Jesus, and it's gonna be amazing. Listen them and watching them. Also, on the 1st of January, we will have the New Year's Day special. Same time, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 9 p.m. London time, we will have friends talking about topics we wish every time we are jumping to a new year, you know. And that's it. I want to say thank you all. Thank you, Charles.
Thank you, friends. A
Thank
big
you,
hug.
Thank you.
Sylvia. Thank you,
Thank you,
Vanessa.
everyone. Thank you. Do
Thank
you
you,
know
Virginia.
what was the first gift of Christmas? Do you know what the first gift of Christmas was? A
No.
child. A child. The
A
first
child.
gift of Christmas was a child, was Jesus.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, very
Have a
wonderful.
lovely Christmas. God bless everyone.
Bye-bye,
Okay, my
Virginia.
friends. See
Merry
you next
Christmas,
Wednesday.
friends.
Thank
Thank
you. Bye
you.
bye.
Take
Take
care.
care.
Bye.
See you next week.
God willing. Bye.